So this happened at my city's main train station, somewhere in Germany, and was by far the only incident I had to live through there. I was coming home from a date and had to wait for the bus. It was only 8 p.m., so not late enough for me to purposely avoid public transport yet. I was sitting on a bench because I had about 20 minutes to wait when a middle-aged foreign man came over to me, speaking broken German. He started giving me compliments about my eyes, which I thanked him for. I didn't want to be rude, even though he had a weird vibe, and I just hoped he would leave me alone soon. But he just stood there, staring at me for a while. Then he moved on to how much he liked my legs, and asked me if I was single. I lied and I said I had a boyfriend to get rid of him, and he went outside. The whole time, there was a younger, also foreign dude sitting next to me, looking uncomfortable as fuck. I tried talking to him, but he laughed nervously. A few minutes passed, and, of course, the creep comes back from outside, holding a bottle of orange juice, when he then proceeds to offer me. I obviously decline because what the fuck? He becomes very insistent that I drink the juice. Tries to force me to take it, saying there's no drugs in there, trust me. It is a completely new bottle. Yeah, very reassuring for you to mention that, strange man. The younger guy next to me gets up, but he doesn't say anything. The creep feels intimidated and tells me he waits outside if I change my mind. I try thanking the guy next to me, but after a few minutes, realize that he doesn't understand one word I am saying. Language barrier. So he just smiles at me, and we sit there until I can see my bus getting closer. When I get up, the young guy practically jumps up and starts hurrying away. I assume he missed his train to protect me from the creepy guy. I had to go outside for the bus, and sure enough, creepy guy kept his promise and waited for me. I sprinted to the bus station, and that guy actually ran after me like a maniac. Considering he was chubby and middle-aged man, and I was an athletic 20-year-old female, I ran faster than him, and managed to get to the bus before he could catch me. So, creepy orange juice guy, let's not meet again. And young man on the bench, I probably owe you my life. So thank you so much. When I was in year 1, so 5 or 6 years old, I lived next door to this woman and her daughter, who is the same age as me, and we went to the same school. Her daughter was called Holly, and all I can remember of her appearance is that she had blonde hair. As there was a very low wall between our two gardens, I would often see and talk to Holly, and we became friends. She would jump over the little wall and played in my garden, and I would go over to her house. She was a nice girl as far as I can remember. What I noticed over a couple of months of being friends with Holly was that Holly's mother would frequently change boyfriends, and the guys would actually live in the house with them. One day over at Holly's house, I met one of her mother's new boyfriends. I can barely remember what he looked like, but he took me and Holly into the garden and gave us skipping ropes and other toys and watched us and supervised us while we played with them. He joined in skipping once, but was very cold, like he really didn't like us. I think he might have been doing it to impress Holly's mother. A few weeks later, I was in my garden with my mother when I heard a man and a woman arguing next door. The guy was very loud and aggressive, telling her to get the fuck in the car, and that's how I learned the F word. Throughout the few weeks that the boyfriend was around, I noticed that Holly was getting a little odder in the way that she acted and the things that she would say. She also tried to get me to do dangerous things like climb fences and stuff. I remember in school, she tried to pick me up and then threw me down, making me bleed. Then one day, a whole load of police officers showed up and kicked down my neighbor's door. I didn't see any of this, but I heard it. Turns out, the woman's latest boyfriend, the guy who played skipping with us, got arrested for killing some woman, or multiple women, and making Holly assist while selling drugs, or something along those lines. I never played or talked with Holly again. Not really sure what happened to her. And the house's door is still a little dodgy from being kicked down. It just feels weird that I could run into Holly again in the future and not recognize her. I guess I could have already. I was talking to my mom the other day, and she reminded me of a story. It is quite short. It might not rattle anybody else, but it rattled me remembering it again. So the story goes, I lived in a historic district of Suffolk, Virginia. Not the best place, but hey, what can you do? We lived in an older style of Victorian home, and I was about 15 at the time. It was a 3-story home, I'd say about 3,000 square feet, so you couldn't necessarily hear anything from the other side of the house most times. As you walk into the house, you see the L-shaped stairs to your right, and there is an archway right ahead of you looking into the other den, and the archway to your left looks onto the living room. From the top of the stairs, you can see straight down to the door in the living room. Now that I got the scene set, I'll go on with my story. Me and my 3 best friends, Kay, Anna, and Elle, were in the game room at the top of the stairs with my mom. It was about 10 p.m., and we spent the day at my house, and Kay, who was 17, was going to drive us all back to her house to watch her house while her mom was at her boyfriend's house overnight. I had, rest in peace, her sweet soul, a pure white German shepherd named Angel, who was about 15 at the time. She barely ever barked and was just kind of a large lapdog. My mom was taking pictures of all 4 of us on the couch when we heard Angel bark, loud, and start to growl. We knew immediately something was wrong, and my mom told us to be quiet and turned off all the lights in the room we were in and told us not to move off the couch, as not to alert anything that was going on downstairs, if there was even anything. We immediately shut our loud teenager mouths and heard my mom going down the hallway. We then hear my mom scream, "Get the fuck out of my house, you son of a bitch." My mom is not a scared, scream your head off kind of woman, and I knew that. So I go to the hall and see my mom gripping a steak knife she kept in the dresser right by the top of the stairs. I hear the front door slam and thumps on my porch, and my mom runs down the stairs and turns on the security alarm, which wasn't on because we came in from hanging out outside. My mom runs up the stairs and tells us what she just saw, and it all shook us to the core. She saw a tall man, bandana on, a beanie on, boots, and a rope around his shoulder and arm, creeping in and starting to approach the stairs. She said she startled him, and he ran out quickly, but asked us if we would stay with her that night. As my dad was on deployment and my little brother and sister were already asleep, Kay immediately called her mom to tell her what was going on. She said she had no problem with Kay staying back with us. So, whoever the hell tried to do whatever to 5 women you knew were home alone, fuck you. And let's hope we never meet. And thank you to my beautiful dog. Who knows what would have happened if she didn't bark and alert us beforehand.